Apocalypse rises, and we're gonna talk about it. Coming fresh off the last episode in this two-parter, this scene, this screenshot feels messed up. These two being all buddy gal pals after what just happened. Oh man, it's really hard to talk about this now after watching that episode. And breaking up the way they did was torture. Even more torture that they were like, all right, you get one episode this week after three last week. Y'all got used to that, right? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, well, stop it. Now you have to sit with the weight of that episode. And this episode is even heavier because of that one. Magneto figures, look, I can put the toothpaste in the tube before a tube is ever opened. And decides to manipulate Apocalypse essentially into being a good guy. Turn him face before he ever has the chance to turn heel. Okay, so Rama Tut and his friends suck ass. But if you don't think this big ass golden litter on the back of the world's largest elephant isn't the coolest stuff, I need you to get out of my face. The funniest stuff in this episode is Charles and Magneto. I love how often Charles raises his voice to Eric because you never really hear him do that to the other mutants. But whenever he's around Magneto, he's like, "Damn it, Eric!" And this time, yeah, he's absolutely right. But also, Charles is at fault as well for not just taking the information. Again, not looking at his medical history or anything like that. Just go get the information you need from this dude and then move on. I know that you're like, I don't want to take stuff out of his brain without consent, but you Holocaust beam this man. Hell, it's in the opening. Also, it hits different hearing Magneto talk to Ansar Banur and hear the same words that get parroted back to him later when you see him blow the man's chest open with the power cosmic. The world's largest elephant didn't deserve this. However, it was damn cool, and it was super cool to see him destroy all those robots, mess everything up, blow up walls, walk through buildings. He absolutely could have just taken out this dude today with no problems. But what's happening is he's being used by the X-Men to gather technology so they can return home. He has no idea about that. He's absolutely right to be upset to find out that he was being used. Not just once, but twice. Another thing I really like about this is that it feels like a Conan the Barbarian movie. And it's like, damn, we can get so many cool things if they just animated them. Can you imagine a Conan the Barbarian that's animated like Primal? I also really love this scene with Charles and Eric chatting about Ansa Banur, and Eric is being so casual about using his name, like, oh yeah, you know, my boy, Ansa Banur. And Charles is like, his name is Apocalypse, and he messes us up in the future. And Magneto's like, nah, we're on first name basis. Imagine you're an archaeologist in the 20th century, and you're just checking out pyramids, dusting off stuff, and you accidentally trip over a makeshift wheelchair. How much of the ancient alien stuff in the future of this particular timeline is just accidental X-Men leaving all their shit behind? See, Chuck, this is where you start to lose him. This man insults him deeply, down to his soul, and all he knows is combat and battle of the fittest. And you're like, no, don't kill him. Brother, you don't know those type of rules. That's not how they move out here. If Charles was smart, he would have just came and went, okay, you can kill him in like 5 minutes. Let me just get the information we need real quick, and then you could do what you want. And considering what this dude's been through, I would have just let him get it out of his system so we can move on. And then maybe afterwards you can teach him better ways to cope and deal with his stuff. But the strategy just ain't here, Charles. The strategy is just ain't here. There's those crashing waves we heard about. Love seeing the metaphor be visualized. Bishop just shows up and is like, who wants to go home? And Asabranor is like, what? Chaos ensues. He ends up killing the dude anyway. So then we had that long cliffhanger, and we had to wait for this episode. And oh my god, was it worth the wait? This is why I love having TV dropped weekly. Having everything drop all at once is awful and it sucks. And I'm glad we're starting to kind of move away from that because it doesn't really help your show. If anything, it shortens the length of time that your product is being talked about till just when it drops. Because when people binge it, that's it. All the stuff's out there. Everybody's talking about it. It's over. If you drop it episode by episode, it stays in the zeitgeist for longer. It stays in the algorithm for longer. And we get to savor it. I wonder what's going to happen next week. Instead of like the lunch tables like we used to, we go to the water cooler and we're like, God damn, with our coworkers, and we're talking about what's going to happen with Apocalypse. And it feels like you're back at the lunch table. All Disney has to do is have a block of shows like this. It doesn't even always have to be Marvel stuff. You can put Gargoyles in here. You can put more life into the older cartoons. Like, give us a new Darkwing Duck. Big up to Studio Mir for making money on both sides, DC and Marvel, on this renaissance of animation. Charles telling the truth to Ansar Banur is actually a great idea. It's the first time he's done that in forever. I bet it felt good, huh, Chuck? And I bet it helped. It helped a whole lot. If he would have done that in several other points in his life in the comics, his life would be a lot easier. Good job telling Ansa the truth, even though it's not the whole truth. And then Charles was like, hey, Ansa, how would you like to live through your worst memories? Make sure that's nice and fresh. And then once Charles finds another way to use Apocalypse, he does. You're going to lead us to this pyramid that has enough technology to get us home. Yes, it's the thing that's going to turn you into the ultimate weapon, but whatever. And then in this scene, Ansa learns how to hurt them the worst. Because I bet right here was the moment he was like, oh, you mean like what Eric and Charles have? Love, you say? It hurts? Alright, I'm gonna remember that. I remember that for just in case they use me or find out about it. This could also be bad news for her, considering things that I know that I cannot spoil for you. Kang's bum ass shows up in a dream and tells Charles, hey, it's me, Kang. You know me. Yeah, so how about you just go in there and give me that stuff? And Charles is like, I know who you are, that's fucking dumb. But after this vision, your boy Charles should have never even stepped foot in that pyramid. He should have went, if Kang wants me to do it, maybe I shouldn't do it. But nah, he's like, you know what? That's a sign. I have to do it now. Damn it, Charles. Use your brain. I love the visuals in this episode as well. You fulfilled the prophecy. The thing is, because it's a prophecy and it's here on the walls already, it has to happen. This is a set point in time. Eric believes so badly that he could stop essentially baby Adolf by giving him some love and nurturing, and it almost worked until baby Adolf went, wait, I could be super powerful? Do you know what I can do with power? Great job. And then finding out that you were going to use him as an instrument of good instead of letting him do what he was destined to do. Which is another thing. You're now a slave to destiny, Ansa. You have not yet broken your chains. But do not be confused. You are the slave in upper management. Man, I love the trippy visuals, and this isn't the only trippy thing we get to see. This truly felt like it had the fingerprints of Jack Kirby all over it. And then the bell rang and they gave us a Broly movie for free. Poor Bishop got his ass beat twice. That dude was like, all right, put on the braces. We going. We getting out of here. We going. Magneto does this grand speech about, that he's going to keep his promise to Charles and it's very romantic. And then some of y'all go back. Not all of y'all. Literally every second after Apocalypse became Apocalypse, I just had my hands on my head and my mouth was hanging open. What I was witnessing was so awesome. And it makes me think, damn, this is why we probably should stop doing live action movies and just focus on stuff like this. Imagine if this in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Imagine the movie Akira. And then imagine that done with Disney money. Bro, when I tell you I was screaming about Marvel vs. Capcom looking at this. Look at this. This is Marvel vs. Capcom. Friends, we got to see XMen vs. Street Fighter for real on TV for free. Kinda. It was on Disney Plus. But oh my god, we got to see this animated. And then the promise for future Marvel vs. Capcom content was so palpable. Right now, Capcom could do the best thing ever and just remaster those games. Yeah, we just got them re-released, but remaster them with brand new sprites, HD music, and if you release a special edition like arcade stick, that's it. You will have goodwill for the rest of y'all's lives. Also, just this screenshot promises shit's gonna get wild. Kang agreed with Bishop, saw what was going on, was like, nah, you know what, we could just go. You could just leave. I like you, you become something special, but I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. He got the word from Bishop that shit hit the fan and he's out of here. How much you wanna bet the next time we see him is gonna be in that new Marvel Cinematic movie coming up? I have a feeling this show ties in directly to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Secret Wars stuff, especially with how Kang was used here. So APOC was like, hey, you know what? Atomize Kang's city. All the people in it, fuck them, who cares? They never cared about me, they ain't fit, blow their ass up. I'm not sure anybody except for Darwin, that mutant that got killed in that one movie, even though he has the power to not be killed, he's probably the only one that could survive the singularity, considering he's done something similar in the comics. But no, you can't just make a black hole here on Earth. What are you doing? He did say to the last atom. He didn't notice what happened, but it has. That ain't nothing to Magneto. Magneto uses the power of love to overload the singularity and redons himself, which is not a thing I thought I can use as a verb before. Hell yeah, brother, we get the Magneto Festival! Have any of you ever read Berserk or watched the anime? As soon as Apocalypse's shadow crosses over Xavier here, it's the eclipse from Berserk. God, this shot fucks so hard, and I love Apocalypse's shadow. This looks downright biblical. And speaking of an eclipse, we do get one, only it's Apocalypse's broad-ass body. And his shadow is a literal darkness that's casting itself upon the X-Men. That they created themselves, mind you. Beautiful. This is beautiful. I never thought I'd be alive to see, and the whole time Apocalypse is spitting the nastiest shit you've ever heard. This dude's been taking promo lessons from MJF. He's cutting him down right to the core. Hey, fuck you, I'm gonna kill this person you love. Fuck you. Right in front of you. This is essentially what happened to Casca. Only she was left the shell of her former self instead of just Magneto's helmet being the only thing that he left behind. And Xavier, who is hampered by the lack of his spine, according to Apocalypse. Damn, that was brutal. Xavier here laying on the ground reminds me a lot of Guts, being caught in that demon's teeth. Most brutal death happens on screen that I've ever seen. Xavier got to watch Magneto, who just hugged him and pretty much told him straight up, the quiet part out loud, of, I was always a heel so that they would think you were a better face. Damn. Now Xavier has to deal with all those hard ass feelings that he had for his friend, like all these deep conflicted feelings he has for Eric, and he's gone. You came back in time to stop him, and you learned that you never do. Soul crushing. This episode was soul crushing in the best way. And look at this bitch over here smiling, using the words that were used to try to encourage him and raise him up as a weapon. That's the worst kind of person. They built a fantastic villain. What in the blue hell are you gonna do to deal with this? I'm so deeply intrigued. This is probably the most brutal animated death I've ever seen. And I thought Clayton in the Tarzan movie was bad. Is that his name, or I'm thinking about the jackass from Atlantis who dies? Him and that guy are the exact same character. And man, as soon as I saw Xavier looking at the helmet like this, I knew immediately that we're about to know his name and fear it. Marvel vs. Capcom fans are eating. I feel like Sabrina the Teenage Witch with all the plates. Finally, a good comic adaptation. And after all that, he doesn't even kill him. He just throws another line that they threw at him back at them and he leaves. Knowing that Charles is helpless, what's he gonna do? I mean, he did try the Holocaust beam at Apocalypse, but it didn't work. So Chuck was fresh out of ideas. And now he is fresh out of hope as well. What's the point? We know where the future goes. And that's all the TV there was. Just kidding, there was an after credit scene. If you didn't see it, go back and see it, and then come back here and hear me talk about it. Next week, we're going to Weapon X! Yes! Let's go to Canada, everybody! The episode is called Weapon X Lies and DVDs, which is an obvious reference to the other episode in the previous series, Weapon X Lies and Videotape, which, if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it in preparation for this episode. I'm going to do that. I hope you guys do it as well. I'm very excited. We might see Wolverine get his medal back, whether he likes it or not. And you know you messed up when Captain America shows up, gives you a manila folder and says, these guys messed up so bad, I'm willing to cross country lines to help you fuck them up. That's what Cap is saying this. Cap is like, let's do wet work. What a fantastic second episode to that cliffhanger. The wait was worth it. And they were like, fuck you, that was only episode 4. And I'm like, oh my god, that was only episode 4. And I'm just salivating for the thought of more of it. A+, gold star, see me after class. You're nominated for the school trip to Studio Mir. Thanks so much for checking this out. Press that like, press that subscribe, press all the buttons. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Even though Professor X's history is written stone, yours isn't. Don't give up. I love you.